Millions of doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine are being administered to some of the world's lowest income countries, thanks in part to the global COVAX initiative. Nigeria received its first doses earlier this week. It is the third West African country to receive COVAX shots, behind Ghana and Ivory Coast. For more, let's bring in Ruud Dobber. He is the Executive Vice President and President of AstraZeneca's Biopharmaceuticals Business Unit. Ruud, welcome. Great to have you with us. So sticking with this COVAX program, how many more vaccines does the company plan to send to lower income countries around the world?
First of all, thank you so much for having me. We are very ambitious. We are planning to supply more than 300 million doses together with our partner in India, the Serum Institute. I think it's very important to do that. Let's not forget, of course, we would like to vaccinate every American, every European, everyone in the developed markets. But no one is safe till everyone is safe. And I think it's very important that companies like us are doing everything in order to bring a good, highly effective vaccine, which is safe, also to the low and middle income countries.
I think no one would disagree with you. As President Biden recently said, you can't build a wall high enough to keep out a virus, correct? This is a global problem facing everyone on the planet. Now, you recently testified on Capitol Hill saying that AstraZeneca is making progress in, quote, supplying doses here in the U.S. If and when the AstraZeneca vaccine is approved here, is your company well positioned to flood the market, much like Johnson & Johnson is doing? And how many doses do you think will be immediately available?
Yeah, thank you. Now, first of all, the short answer is yes. We are ready to supply tens of millions of doses after obtaining the emergency use authorization. So we have completely enrolled our clinical trial. We are hoping to see the results in the next few weeks. And after that, we will instantly submit for the EUA. And if that's the case, then in the first months after the EUA, we're planning to deliver roughly 50 million doses instantly to Americans here.
So you're saying you're just waiting for the results of this trial. It should be just a few weeks then before AstraZeneca will formally file for emergency use authorization in the U.S.?
Correct. The trial is it's a very large trial. More than 30,000 subjects have been included in the trial. It's an important trial because it has a large population of elderly, as well as minorities are well represented in the clinical trial. So as soon as we have hit the number of events, the number of infections, we will analyze that. And of course, if the results are good, we will submit instantly. There's one big difference, by the way, in the US trial versus the European trial. The dosing interval, so the time between the first and the second dose is 4 weeks, which may not completely maximize efficacy, because what we have seen from the European trial is if you wait longer with your second dose, you can increase the efficacy very substantially. But that, of course, we will assess and we will discuss that with the FDA.
Very interesting. Of course, obviously, right now, another big concern that is part of the vaccine landscape that wasn't when some of the earlier vaccines rolled out is how effective they are against these new strains of the virus, against these variants that are emerging. Is the AstraZeneca vaccine being tested against those variants?
Yeah, it's absolutely a great question, and in fairness, it's the biggest concern we all are having. How effective is our vaccine, and also the other vaccines of other manufacturers? We're very hopeful that it is very effective against the UK variant. We don't know yet how effective it will be against the variant in Brazil and South Africa. But be assured that the people in AstraZeneca, the scientists, the clinical developers, and our partner, the Oxford University, are already developing a potential new vaccine in case our current vaccine is not as effective as we are hoping for. So there's a massive effort ongoing to act quickly and also to supply that if necessary.
So perhaps you can give us some insight into the AstraZeneca vaccine's reputation in the European Union for a moment, because in Italy on Thursday, it was announced that they were blocking shipments of AstraZeneca destined for Australia. The company also says it's behind in providing doses in the EU. But then there are some Germans who say that they're hesitant to get the AstraZeneca because they believe its efficacy is lower. Could you shed some light on this, give us some clarity as to why there is, in some places, less of a confidence in this vaccine, and explain why people in the U.S. should feel equally confident of the AstraZeneca vaccine if it is cleared?
Yeah, thank you. First of all, we are incredibly pleased to see that regulators across the world have approved this vaccine and have earmarked the vaccine as highly effective and safe. In more than 50 countries, we have now the regulatory approval in order to bring the vaccine to the people. So that's fantastic. The second piece is that, of course, we are learning as we go. And it is clear that in the initial phase, perhaps the data in the elderly was still not large enough or big enough in order to make a statement whether it was really effective. The good news is now that we have seen real-world evidence, real-world studies of people vaccinated in the UK as well as in Scotland. And it's very pleasing to see that from those studies done by independent research groups, we clearly see an enormous efficacy of the vaccine in elderly. As a result of that, many regulatory bodies in Europe are now changing their guidelines and are also saying that you can use the vaccine in the elderly population. Now, equally, of course, it's also fair to say that the need is substantial. Like in the United States, everyone in Europe wants to get vaccinated. And it is fair to say that we're doing our best to deliver millions of doses every month, but we are a little bit behind of where we were hoping for. We are increasing our capacity. So we remain bullish that in the next few weeks, our supply will further increase, and therefore the sentiment in Europe will get better.
All right. Well, Ruud Dobber of AstraZeneca, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.